Do you know your constitutional rights? Our founding fathers died to give every American citizen freedom of speech, due process, freedom of assembly, and the freedom to pursue life, liberty, and happiness. Rise, stand tall, be bold, and be grateful for your American heritage. This is the land of the free and the home of the brave, where everything is possible. And we are the people. Welcome to We the People. Today we're going to discuss the new red flag law and how it affects us here in New Jersey. My guest, Daryl Kipnis, operates a full services law firm which covers consumer protection, litigation, commercial litigation, criminal matters, personal injury, bankruptcy, immigration, and business formation. Daryl is a former Republican candidate for the New Jersey State Senate race in the 17th Legislative District in 2017, and for Congress for New Jersey's 12th Congressional District, and is a current Somerset County GOP committeeman and Republican strategist. We are honored to have him on the show today, and we look forward to his well-rounded knowledge on this particular topic. He is known to be an advocate for conservative values, protecting constitutional rights, and defending individual liberty. So let's hear his take on the new red flag laws and what it means for you. Welcome to the show, Daryl.
Oh, thank you so much, Geeta. It's my pleasure to join you.
Good. I'm glad to hear, and I would love to hear all your insight today.
Happy to share them.
Excellent. So can you, well, I guess first tell us more about your background and your law practice. What do you specialize in?
Well, I do pretty much anything somebody might need an attorney for. I handle real estate closings, family cases, criminal matters. I do a lot of employment discrimination work. I do a lot of consumer protection work. I handle bankruptcies. Pretty much the whole gamut. It's pretty exciting. It's always something different, and always happy to help out people that are in find themselves in tough spots.
Okay, wonderful. So let's talk today about the red flag law. Can you define that for those who aren't aware of what it is?
Well, that creates one of the toughest of spots that somebody can find themselves in. As you know, in the state of New Jersey, we have some of the toughest, most restrictive, and borderline unconstitutional gun laws in the country, and this one in particular creates a scenario where a family member, a household member, or a law enforcement officer can file a petition with the court to have a lawful licensed gun owner's weapons taken away on a supposed temporary basis, to have what's called an extreme risk protective order hearing. And that is done with the application being supported by an affidavit stating that the person is an imminent threat to themselves or others. And that would enable a judge to issue an order which would enable police to go into the person's house, take their guns, whether they've not even been accused of a crime, with no criminal offense, criminal indictment or criminal complaint being filed against them, just a civil risk protective order application. And a hearing would be scheduled within 10 days, at which the party making the request for the order, as well as the party whose the order is being sought against, would have to appear in front of a judge and state their case as to why the order should either be entered or not entered. And a final order would be entered at that point in time. If the order is entered, you lose your guns until another order is entered by the court, which is theoretically could be forever.
Okay.
And the temporary order that's entered when the application is made, even that's before the other side even having had a chance to present their side of the story, the guns are taken away until the hearing is held. So you have a scenario in New Jersey where a person's not accused of a crime, not convicted of a crime, has their lawful property taken away from them pending a hearing.
Okay. So you think this is not a good law that has come out? I
think that it raises a lot of opportunity for abuse. I think that any time that somebody gets into an argument with a family member, and the category of family member is kind of broadly defined in the statute to include such things as former domestic partners, former boyfriends, girlfriends, the mother of a child of yours, the father of a child of yours, It's a very broad category that
Okay.
includes a lot of different people that can do it, and law enforcement officers themselves. So you don't even you'd have standing to bring the application yourself if you have the family or household member relationship. But let's just say it's somebody that you don't know. You can go to the police, and the police can actually go and file that application to have your guns taken away.
Okay.
And it creates a lot of opportunity for abuse, for people to just, if they get into an argument on Facebook or something like that, which happens all the time, to go and ask for one of these to be entered. And it just took effect on September 1st, and in the time since it took effect, within the first 2 weeks, about one extreme risk protective order per day had been entered. I'm continuing to follow the statistics of it very closely to see how the law is being applied, and in what frequency are people's rights potentially being violated by it.
Okay. And who benefits from this?
Well, who would benefit from it is the state of New Jersey. Essentially, it's they have the ability to take somebody's property without due process of law. The process comes after the property's already been taken.
Okay.
And the person who lost it's already at a disadvantage because the state has it already. So the onus really becomes on them to get it back.
Do they ever get their guns back?
Well, I mean, that's the law just took effect. As far as I know, at least 2 of the 14 or so occasions that have happened since the law took effect resulted in a final order being entered barring somebody from getting their guns back. There is a mechanism to challenge a final order, but with a lot of judges that would enter one, they would be risking their career, essentially, if they were, whether they're tenured or not tenured, their reputation on the line. Judges always want to be right. They always want to make sure that they make the best decision that they can possibly make, because if they don't, then they can be appealed, and they hate getting appealed. So I would think it would be very difficult for somebody to successfully challenge an order that happens on very short notice. There's not a lot of opportunity for discovery, to prepare for a hearing of that nature. And to overturn that, it can be a very difficult thing to do.
Okay, interesting. So what constitutional rights does this bring up?
Well, it's Second Amendment rights. There's Fourth Amendment rights. Search and seizure certainly. But the Second Amendment, it's an infringement. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. I mean, here you have people. I mean, if you're convicted of a crime, obviously you lose your right to own a weapon, depending on what the crime is, and that's fair. But in the instance here, again, you're not even accused of a crime. It's not without even a criminal complaint, without even so much as a warrant being issued or a criminal complaint being filed, your weapons can be taken away.
Wow.
As a practical matter, you're then behind the 8 ball to try to get them back.
So what are critics saying about this?
Well, the same things that I've been saying. There's a big fight against it. I believe it'll eventually be taken up on an appeal, and hopefully get up to a higher court that can view this in light of the Constitution. You have the ANJRPC, which is the Association of New Jersey Rifle and Pistol Clubs, which is essentially the New Jersey chapter of the NRA. You have Anthony Calandro, who's the 78th or 76th board member for the NRA, who's from New Jersey, who runs the Gun for Hire range up in Woodland Park, and he also has the Gun for Hire podcast. He's the tip of the spear, as they say, and he's been leading the fight. If people have any types of issues, they were contacting him, and he'd put them in touch with the right people. He's done a lot of Facebook Lives and things about that. You have the New Jersey Second Amendment Society. You have the CNJFO. There's a lot of gun rights groups out there that are very opposed to this. And certainly there's a lot of attorneys that are fighting it and looking to take up a case to a higher level to potentially see if this law will be declared unconstitutional, which I think it is.
Okay, good. So what type of approach to gun safety legislation would you support?
Well, I had suggested in the past when I was running for office, there are instances where people volunteer certain information about themselves. They put it out there publicly on the internet. They use, in the instance of the Parkland shooter, I believe he even used his own name on a YouTube comment. Where he said, I'm a school shooter in training or something like that. I think when somebody does something like that, where they put public-facing information out there, where they say, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do this, and it's a specific threat, I think action should be able to be taken there. when you have evidence, clear evidence from the person themselves that they intend to do something. But here, essentially, in the way it works in New Jersey, the weapons are being taken away from you based on somebody else's word. If it's based on your own word and you put it out there, hey, I'm going to do this, yeah, then I would have no problem with some type of process being in place to try to prevent this. And if something like that does get posted online somewhere, it should be investigated immediately. The FBI was aware of that. And for some reason, and the school officials down there, the Parkland story is very, very troubling because the shooter's name, who I won't mention because I don't want to give this person any notoriety, put it out there that it was well known that this person was a problem and that he was a threat to others, and things were swept under the rug because the school wanted to seem like, hey, we don't have any bad kids here, and that's a failure of policy. And I think what we need to do is focus better on identifying people who put it out there that they're a threat and can be stopped, versus creating mechanisms where somebody else can just say, yeah, I think your weapon should be taken away, and then put you behind a legal 8-ball where you'd have to spend tens of thousands of dollars fighting for your rights that you have protected under the Constitution in the first place.
Okay, all right. So what do you advise people from a legal standpoint?
Well, if you find yourself in a position where you believe that you're being threatened by somebody that has a weapon, you should contact the police. Or contact and also contact an attorney. If you've been served with an application or an extreme risk protective order, you definitely want to pick up the phone and call an attorney who's familiar with that type of process and handling Second Amendment rights and those types of applications. Has a background in family and criminal law like I do. That can assist someone with that and make sure that your rights are protected and that you get treated fairly by the process, as fair as you can be treated by a process which seems very unfair.
Okay, and have you and your clients been impacted by this?
I have not had a case yet where somebody has been served with an extreme risk protective order. However, I have handled matters where people's weapons have been taken away under different provisions of law and fighting to get them back.
Okay, so and how do you think this will impact the future?
Well, it's wide open, as you've seen with the law is just a month and a few days old already. You have a high number of cases, almost one per day, where an order is entered affecting somebody's rights.
Yeah.
And I'll be following it very closely, and I'm sure that the various Second Amendment rights groups will be looking at it very closely, and monitoring the impact and seeing how many people's it can, the people like to use the word witch hunt. You hear that word a lot all around.
Oh, yeah.
We're very concerned that that's what this can create.
Okay. And do you have anything else you want to tell the public?
Contact an attorney if you feel that your rights are in jeopardy, or if you have a question about something. Don't wait for there to be a problem. If you want to know about the way things work, or you have a legal question, it's better to seek out that counsel in advance, that you know the right way to go about things, rather than learning after the fact. It's always good to have preventative information, and knowledge is power. So
okay, good.
Go and seek it from those that can give it to you.
Great. Well, that's good advice.
All right.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for all of your valuable information today.
It's my pleasure, Geeta.
Yes.
Thank you so much for having me.
We appreciate it. And hopefully the viewers enjoyed it as well. Thank you, and we will see you next week.